Hello everyone, I am Demented Kirby, and welcome to my channel, the Commander Tavern. The Commander Tavern is a channel dedicated to my favorite Magic the Gathering format. On this episode of Barkeep Upkeep, I will be showing you how to calculate the probability of Godhands for those decks that have a turn 0 or turn 1 win. I go over some basic probability and then increase the difficulty as more complicated situations arise. This video will be easier to follow for those with a more solid mathematical background, but for those curious to know some more math and how it can be applied in Magic for your benefit, let me know and I can make some more in-depth videos on the subject. I am a mathematician by trade, so hopefully I can further simplify these topics for everyone. Before continuing, I would like to thank my patrons for supporting me. If you would also like to support me, you can do so for as low as $1 per month. For this, you get early access to scheduled videos. In fact, patrons got a chance to see this video earlier. Alright, that's it for introductions. Let's start the class. Okay, so let's start with the basics. What does probability mean? Well, when we refer to probability, we are talking about the chance that an event will occur. So, for example, if I want the probability of a particular event to occur, it's the total number of events, and from those number of events, there has to be some event that we want. So, for example, if we have a standard French deck of cards, the ones that has ace, all those things, it has 52 cards total. If we want to know the probability of drawing, for example, the ace of diamonds, there's only one of them out of 52 total cards, so that would be the probability. Now let's say, for example, we want to just draw an ace. There are 4 aces out of the 52 total events, and that's going to give me 1 out of 13. Now this is the basic concept if we're drawing one card, but in this case we're not drawing one card, we're drawing a hand. Now a hand is simply a combination of cards that we draw at the beginning of the game. This is not just for Magic, this is also for poker and other kinds of games where you have hands. Now since it's any combination, for example, let's say we drew Soul Ring in our hand, it doesn't matter if we draw Soul Ring in the first card, or the third card, or the 7th card. This all considers the same hand. So it doesn't matter the order as long as all the cards are the same. So that is the other concept that we're going to be using in this particular case. Since a God hand is the best possible hand you can draw at the beginning of the game, we're going to assume that the God hand then is that card that we draw as the first combination of cards in the beginning of the game. Turn 0 wins are with Leyline of Anticipation, but turn 1 wins is that you start the game and you're able to win that same turn. So, taking that into consideration, let's take a basic example, and from a simple example we can work forward. Let's say we have a God hand that requires 7 cards. Now, in order for us to know this combination, we have to know how many total combinations there are, how many total possible hands from a 100-card deck. Now, assuming we have only one commander, that means that we take the commander away, and that gives us a total of 99 cards left in the deck. If we have 2 commanders, then it's 98 cards at the start of the deck. So this means that the total number of cards is any 7-card combination that we take out of 99 cards, or 98 if you have a partner. Now this can be expressed in the following way. Now this number is a combination. This is basically saying in how many different ways can I choose 7 cards out of 99 cards, which is basically your hand. Now this has a formula to calculate, but you can use it on a calculator also, and to just save you some time, I already calculated it ahead of time. To save time, this is equal to 14,887,031,544. So there's a total of all of these possible hands that you can draw out of your deck. Now, if we take this, and then we expand it further for the probability of that God hand, so what we want is the total number of God hands over the total number of possible hands. And this is going to give me the probability of getting that turn 1 win, or turn 0 win. As I mentioned earlier, if you only have one possible hand, then you have only one out of that almost 15 billion to get that God hand, to get that turn 1 win. Now, if you have 2 commanders, then it would be 1 out of 98, and so forth. Now, there are some cases that aren't as simple as this one, and in fact is actually more possible to happen. So let's take my Heliod Sun Crown deck for example. Now, that Heliod it's not just a 7-card hand. Let's see what Heliod would need. Heliod would need either Ancient Tomb or City of Traders. And here's where it gets interesting. Just because of this option that we have here, then it needs Lotus Petal, Mox Opal, Mana Crypt, it needs Mana Vault, Soul Ring, and Walking Ballista. Okay, so notice here that we need to have these in order to have that God hand. But we have 2 of these. So if we want to literally look at it like a hand, we have 2 options for Ancient Tomb or City of Trader, but then we only have 1 of these. So these represent cards in our hand. Notice that with this being 2, that means that it is no longer 1 possible hand, but 2 possible hands, because 2 times all of these is 2. So notice we have 2 possible hands. So this means that in this Heliod deck, we would have this odds. So it would be twice as much as any other normal 7-card hand. Now, if you want to see how this combo works, you can just check out my Heliod video and you can see how it works. But this is just to calculate the probability of it occurring. Now, if we want to see something a little bit more spicy, a little bit more different, let's look at how we can get a turn 1 win with Kirik's God hand. Now, Kirik is a bit simple because you need a City of Traders, a Mana Crypt, a Doomsday in your opening hand, but then you can either have Aphotic Wisps, Dredge, Cremate, or Night Haze. Now this means that you do need this, you do need this, you do need this, but then you need any of these 4. So these all represent 1 slot, but it's 4 different cards that can make it up. And then this is enough to win. Again, you can see that combo in my video, and you can see it also in many different places. Kirik has already more or less solved this since the recording of this video. But then you have 3 extra slots in your hand. This means that you can mulligan once for free, you can mulligan twice, mulligan thrice, and then mulligan a 4th time. Now, we're not going to discuss the probabilities including mulligans in this video because that would be a bit more complicated. This is just assuming at least no mulligans, just your opening hand. So notice that here we have 4 different ways we can choose this one. But there's only one way we can get a City of Traders, one way we can get a Mana Crypt, and one way we can get a Doomsday. Now this means that we have a couple of cards left over. So if we have 100 minus 1, which is my commander, that's 99. Now we take 1 away, that's 98, 97, 96, 95. So this means we have here 1st slot, 2nd slot, 3rd slot, 4th slot for these. This means that we have 95 cards left in the deck. Now what's great about having these 95 cards left in the deck is that any of these could be that card. Any of these could be the remaining card. Any of these can be the remaining card. This means that we don't have to have exactly 7 cards in order to get this done. So when we make our hand with this one, we have 95 left, 94 left, and then 93 left. So this means that this possible hand, we have the following. So in that 1st slot, we have City of Traders, Mana Crypt, Doomsday. Again, I'm just putting this in this way for simplicity's sake, but it doesn't matter the combination. Now this 4 represents either one of these 4, and then you have 95, and then you have 94, and then you have 93. Now this is giving me the total possible combinations of this God hand. Now if you just take a calculator and you have 4 times 95 times 94 times 93, this gives me this many possible ways I can have this God hand. So notice I have 3 million different ways I can have this possible hand. So I have this many combinations of hands over the total number of possible combinations of hands that I have. This tells me then the probability of me getting a turn 1 win with Kirik. Now this simplifies into 5 over 22,407, which is approximately 1 over 4,481. So again, what you would do is you take the total number of possibilities for each slot and you multiply all those numbers together, And that gives you the total amount of hands you can have that. Because again, you don't have to draw City of Traders first, you can draw it last, but the order doesn't matter. Now this 4 again represents either one of these 4 cards, so whether you drew a Night Haze and these 3, you already won the game regardless of what this is. Pretty straightforward. Now, the purpose of me making this video is actually thanks to Mons over at EDH TV, who presented me the challenge of finding the probability of his Thrasios and Timna deck winning third one with Thassa's Oracle. Now, the curious thing that happens with this particular deck is that he has only one possible way to win with Thassa's Oracle, but in the way the mana is needed, that's where the challenge comes in. So for example, for him to win with his deck, he needs the following Godhand. He needs Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation, Chromox, and here's where it gets spicy because Chromox has to have a colored card, otherwise it doesn't do anything. He's going to also need Lotus Petal, and then a land that's going to help him satisfy the colors needed, which come from these 2 cards. So he needs to be able to generate 2 blue mana and 1 black mana, and that turn 1 to win. Now notice you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards, so he has the added benefit of having that extra slot, which can be for any card, thus boosting his likelihood of winning turn 1. Now this presents the challenge of how many different possibilities we can get this done. Now, fortunately, there is a simple way to break it down, so let's see how it does. Let's go with the simple ones first. We need Thassa's Oracle, so that slot is only 1. Demonic Consultation is only 1. Lotus Petal is only 1. And Chromox is only 1. Now, what we need to figure out is how many possible colored cards will help with Chromox, and then we need to figure out which lands are going to be needed, which lands satisfy this, and then the amount of cards left over. If you're paying attention, we have 100 minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so we now have 93 cards left here. This is what helps boost this, but this will also help boost what happens. In order to understand the maths and how we can transform our magic knowledge into mathematical knowledge to solve this process, first we need to see how many possible different ways we can get this to work in order to satisfy this and win turn 1. So let's set this aside for the moment, and let's see what happens. The first problem we have is the colored card. That will go imprinted on Chromox. Now this colored card can either be black, or the colored card can be blue. So this provides 2 different possibilities. However, since the Lotus Petal can give me either black or blue depending on the situation, the other factor that we have to take into consideration is that land. Now, if this colored card is black, the land has to be blue, because Lotus Petal is going to give me blue, and I need the second blue. Now, if the colored card is blue, this land has to either be blue, because if the colored card is blue, Chromox gives me blue, the land gives me blue, Lotus Petal gives me black, no problem. Now, fortunately, the land can also give me black. So this makes it even more complex in the sense that there are different ways for this situation to happen. So this has to happen together, and then this has to happen together. But then we have the possibility that this will work along with my other cards, this will work along with my other cards, so this provides 2 different possible combinations of hands that we can see together in a moment. Now, from the current version of Mons' list that I was looking over in order to do this, we have the following situation. For colored cards, I'm going to call C for card and L for land, so that you guys can follow along with the mathematical notation. Now, there are 29 blue cards in the current list that Mons have where I use this, and there are 12 black cards. Now, as far as lands are colorless, obviously, so when I refer to blue, is what they can tap for. 5 lands that can only tap for blue. 7 lands that can only tap for black. And then we have 9 lands that can tap for either. Now, why is this important? We'll see it in a moment. So far, here we have all the cards that I care about for this situation, right? Okay. Now let's break it down. How can we express this as a way where I'm going to open up slots in order to find combinations? Let's do this one first, and then we'll do this one second. Now, so far, I know I have to have the space for Thassa's Oracle, for Demonic Consultation, for Chrome Mox, for Lotus Petal, and I know I have the rest here, 93, for any other card. Now, I want to know for my colored card, and I want to know for my land. Now, let's go step by step. Black cards, 12. This means that if I have a 12 here, because I have 12 possible black cards to use here, this has to be a blue land. So notice it has to be a land that gives me blue. Notice that I have 5 and 9, I have 14 possible lands that tap for blue. So far, this is satisfied with this combination here. So this is combination number 1. Now, if we look at combination number 2, it's the same thing because I still need Thassa's Oracle, I still need Demonic Consultation, I still need Chrome Mox, I still need Lotus Petal, I have 93 freebies, but notice here, I need a blue card. Now, there's 29 different blue cards. Now, the land can be blue or black. That means it doesn't matter which land I get as long as the land taps for these. So that means that any of these lands satisfies that situation. So we have 5 plus 7, which is 12, plus 9, which is 21. So that means that here I have 21 possible cards to fit in that slot. And thus here we have the 2 different possible hands that will do this. Now, since both of these work, I have all of these possibilities and I have all of these possibilities. So let's just calculate this quickly and then we can go back to it again. Now we add these because this is the total number of possible hands that will have Mons win the game on turn 1. So these are all of the possible god hands he has with his deck. Now, as we saw earlier, this is the total number of hands. So going back to that number of events over the total number of events, and this is what it simplifies into. So this is how likely it is for Mons to win turn 1 with Thassa's Oracle with his deck. Now hopefully you learned how to apply this for your own god hands, taking into consideration that you basically just have your 7 cards, and then in each slot you put how many of that part of the combo would go there. And then you simply take all these numbers, you multiply them together, and then you divide by either 99 C7 if you only have one commander, or you divide by 98 C7 if you have a partner pair. And that's pretty much it. That's how you determine the probability of getting a god hand in your opening turn and thus winning the game on turn 1 or turn 0. Hopefully this video was helpful for those players who want to calculate the odds of them winning on turn 1 or turn 0 if you have Leyline of Anticipation in most cases. If you would like some more videos explaining these kinds of subjects in a way more structured and broken down way, let me know in the comments. Also, if you would like to know the probability of hypergeometric situations like winning in turn 2, 3, or 4, let me know. If enough viewers are interested in these kinds of videos, I will certainly make them. I would like to thank all my patrons for supporting me, and a quick shout out to all my higher tier patrons, the Brewers, for their patronage. I'd also like to thank anyone using my TCG Player affiliate link, that also helps out the channel. And to everyone, thanks for watching this episode of Barkeep Upkeep on the Commander Tavern. I am Demented Kirby, and thanks for listening.